So one of the pieces of fishing tackle that I'm most fussy about are pole rollers. You always find if you get your pole rollers set up incorrectly, or you're not quite happy with them and they're not quite stable enough, you just have a very awkward day's fishing, you're not being efficient, and it just spoils your rhythm and everything like that. It's really important to be able to get your pole rollers set up behind you, nice and stable, so you can ship back smoothly. It just makes your day so much easier. Now, for the last 3 or 4 years, I've had some Matrix free flow pole rollers, the ones where you could adjust the legs. And when I first seen that concept where you had the button where you can change the angle of the legs, I was sold on it straight away, because it just makes the pole rollers so much more versatile, so you can set them up at any angle. You know, if the bank's a little bit awkward behind you, you can just get your pole rollers set perfectly. So second I seen them, I went and bought a set, and they've been brilliant, to be fair. Like I say, 3 or 4 years, I've not had many problems with them. But I've just seen a couple of sort of videos promoting these new Daiwa Rockin rollers, and they've got the same concept on the legs, but they've also got a few extra features that I just think makes these rollers that little bit better than the Matrix ones, and that's why I swapped over to them. So firstly, just touching on that leg system, what I was talking about. If you have a look on these rollers, they've got this button at the top of the legs. Press the button in and you can alter the angle of the leg, and they click in at, you know, maybe 6 or 7 different positions, probably more, to be fair, and it just allows you to get your roller set up perfectly. Now, one thing it does allow you to do is widen the roller up. So as a standard position, I would say that most rollers' legs come in, there's something like that in terms of the angle of the legs. Now that's great and it works perfectly well, but the problem is when you get a really windy day, they can sometimes blow over. Whereas with this leg system, what you can do is just open it out, one more notch, you barely lose any height, but what you create is a much wider profile to the roller, which when you get a bit of wind like what we've got today, just makes your pole roller that little bit more stable. Now, touching on the stability of the pole roller, one thing that I really like about these rollers is they've got 6 legs. Now, they do have 2 different designs of these rollers. They have the 4-leg version and the 6-leg version. I went for the 6-leg version because when I went and checked them out in the tackle shop and I tested the 6-leg system, it just can't believe how much more stable it actually does make the roller, and particularly when you're having to extend them to the full height. So these particular rollers, not a lot of the time that you actually need that extra legs, but it does actually go really high. So I'll actually set the roller up to its full height now, and you'll see the benefit of this 6-leg system, what I'm going to touch on. So just extend the roller out to full height. So you can see nice and high roller, and just like this at the minute, there is a little bit of wobble on the roller. Now, when I had my Matrix ones and I extended them to the full height, I did get a lot of this wobble on the roller. Now, to fix this, what Daiwa have done is they've added 2 separate optional legs. Now, when I've got my roller at a standard height, I don't actually use these, but if you go to somewhere and you do have to extend them high, these extra legs are so good for making the roller stable. Now, they just pack away nice and neatly, and you can just fold them down and just extend that in, push it into the ground. And like I say, I've got one here on the other side, and just extend it in, pop the cap back on the top of my roller, and basically now it's just took away a lot of that wobble. It's just made a much more stable roller, and I just find that when you do have to extend it higher and when you're shipping your pole back across it, it just goes back a lot smoother with them extra legs in. And I think that's just a good little, doesn't hardly add any weight to the roller, doesn't get in the way if you don't want to use them, but it's a good little thing to have if you do want to extend your legs really tall. So that's a good little addition to the roller. Now, another thing what I really like is the adaptability of this middle post. Now, a lot of the time, most rollers you see on the market, and the Matrix ones, they were sold in 2 different types. Just a standard roller, which didn't have the central post, and a roller with a central post. Now, I'd always like to have a roller with the option of having that central post, because it just makes my roller a little bit more versatile. But sometimes, if you're just shipping back in one go, maybe if you're going silverfish venues, or if you're trying to ship at speed and you just want a big target to aim at, what you can do with these rollers, you've just got a little clip here. You can take that middle post out and you've just got one big roller to ship back on. So that's brilliant. But also, what they've done on these rollers is they've actually added a little system where I can actually slide this middle post up and down the roller and click it into position wherever I wanted. So say I wanted it there, or towards the other end or whatever, I can just put that wherever I want it. So it just makes this roller that little bit more versatile to the Matrix ones what I had. So all in all, these rollers have been absolutely brilliant. Now, they're a brand new product. What I'll probably do later down the line, maybe in a year's time, I'll see how I've been getting on with them, see if they've stood the test of time. Like, I get out on the bank all the time, so these rollers are getting a lot of hammer. So if I'm going to have a problem, or if there is going to be any problems with this, I should find them out pretty soon. But so far, I've had them a few months now, not had any problems. Now, one more thing, what I've just noticed that I haven't talked about is this actual rock and roll design. So you can actually see it's got a double, if I just tilt that forward a little bit, it's actually two rollers. If you can see that a little bit better like that. And basically, what this double roller does, it just supports your pole that little bit better in terms of having a little bit of a wider point for your pole to roll over, which I think stops any cracking of the pole where your pole's got a lot of pressure on one point. But also what it does, this tilting design just finds its own level depending on the sort of the type of bank what you're shipping on or the way you're shipping in and out, and it just levels itself up nice and makes sure everything's running smoothly across both rollers, and your pole ships in and out so smooth over the top. So it just makes everything so much easier. And I think when you've got expensive poles, having a double roller like that's just going to protect your sections that little bit better. And another thing, as you can see, all the rollers run lovely and smooth straight out the bag. I have had rollers in the past where I've bought them and they don't really roll. All these all roll perfectly well. So brilliant rollers these. Like I say, I'll update you in maybe a few months' time on how I'm getting on with them, what I think, in terms of as I've had any problems. But looking at it, I don't think I am going to have any problems. Daiwa products are normally good quality, and these Rockin rollers are some of the best rollers on the market, if not the best for me.